With the whole thing starting with Scherzer, and then of course Judge doing what he did in the top of the first, and then what he did in the bottom of the first, and then what he did later on in the game. I mean, so you had those two guys going at it at Yankee Stadium, and of course this whole Scherzer thing. And here's the thing about, he doesn't want to be tainted. He doesn't want to be accused of any of this stuff, and it's a weird deal. Now this group, Phil Cuzzi, has thrown 3 players out. Since this whole debacle of sticky stuff, and I think he's the only umpire that's actually done that.
Yeah.
But it's really Dan Bellino, the guy behind the home plate, who is the one that was deciding that, look, man, we warned you. We told you. Don't come back out here with, with the sticky stuff back on your hand, because then, we're going to end up taking your glove away. And then, Max has given us some sort of explanation that he's washing his hand and that there's some Major League Baseball official in the dugout. I didn't know that.
Right, that sits there and watches him wash his hands, and they have to wash it with alcohol apparently to get all the stuff off.
That is like the first I've ever heard of that.
Yeah, I didn't know that existed. I didn't know any.
And where does that guy come from? Is he just a guy is there a guy or gal or whoever it is at the stadium just specifically for this reason? And
they have to have multiple jobs. There has to be some sort of other responsibility that they have there other than the sticky stuff, watching people wash their hands, because that would be the easiest job on earth.
Now, the other thing I don't know, and I haven't read anything in regards to any of this. Of course, Max Scherzer pitched for the Dodgers 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And they know him.
Mm-hmm.
They may know of something that we don't know of. I have no idea whether or not they alerted the umpires. I don't know if the umpires, this all happened on their own. But according to Bellino, the home plate umpire, it was the stickiest hand he had ever felt since this whole thing started, which sounds really strange.
Right. Since I've been examining hands, this is the stickiest hand I've ever felt. So, I mean, maybe both of them are telling the truth, because this has become a whole umpires are a disaster and Max Scherzer got screwed and it doesn't make any sense. But maybe Max Scherzer was telling the truth and it was rosin and sweat, and maybe it was the stickiest hand that he ever felt. And they just felt like, hey, every time you came out here, we told you about it. It continued to be sticky, sticky, sticky. He also said that the fingers, whatever was on there remained on our fingers for a couple of innings. It was far more than we'd ever seen before in a pitcher in live action.
It was on their fingers.
On their fingers. It was so sticky that when we touched his hand, our fingers were sticking to his hand.
The way I read that from Dan Bellino, I read that as if that there was a foreign substance that was being used. That's how I read that, because there's no way that rosin and sweat are going to create that. That's a pine tar situation, or that's some other substance that he may be using that's in his glove. And remember, he had to change gloves.
Yeah, he did have to change gloves. So but he was so adamant in the post game.
He needs to be.
I guess
he has to be. Like, if he doesn't,
he's been very critical of this whole situation and the sticky stuff and everything else. He's been outspoken about it, Max Scherzer. So I guess maybe he had to go crazy to defend himself. But I mean, I swear on my children's lives.
But no other pitcher has gone through this. I mean, I guess Domingo Germán, to some extent, but not like this. I mean, there's been 2 others, and he was warned, and he came back out, and he still had something, whatever it was, he still had it. And if the umpire is saying that he had it on his own hand and that his own fingers were sticking together, then, that's telling me that they're accusing him of using something other than rosin and sweat.
Yeah, right. And what the umpire said after is whatever was on there, right? He didn't say,
I would think you would have to confiscate the gloves, don't you think?
Yeah, well, sure. Take a look at what it is. Send it to a lab. I mean, this has gotten ridiculous. It really has with the sticky stuff, but these are the rules now. So Scherzer also said, for him to go into the clubhouse, wash his hands in front of a major league official, come out with a different glove, and then end up putting stuff on his hand again, that would be just completely idiotic, which I do agree with that take.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a logical take, unless it's something in his gloves that, no matter washing your hands or whatever, if there's something in your glove, that glove is going to be with you, even after you've washed your hand.
Right, exactly. So, see, and then there was that last little clip that CBS Sports Network played. It seemed like, Phil Cuzzy was having a little bit of fun with Max Scherzer, and, oh, hey, everything's okay. Put the glove on. They're laughing. This is before the whole situation, obviously, where they're screaming at one another. So one of two things happened. Either Max Scherzer has gone to some sticky stuff because he hasn't liked the way that he has pitched early on, and the Dodgers are a team that he pitched for, and they've got a very good lineup and a great team, and he wanted to go out there and win this game, and he started using some stuff he wasn't supposed to use. Or this is an over-officious, out-of-control umpiring crew that was trying to make a statement with one of the most recognizable pitchers in the game. It's one of those two things.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know that the umpires would be thinking that way. I really don't. I mean, they're not going into the game thinking they're throwing somebody out. There's no way that that's happening. It just, if Dan Bellino, that a home plate umpire, is saying that the stuff, whatever it was, remained on his hand for a number of innings, and his own fingers were sticking together.
Yeah.
I mean, then that tells me that, they're saying that there's something else involved here. And I'm sure there are other things that these players can use, but pine tar seems to be readily available. When you want it,
sure,
and if you want it. So I would think that would be the substance. If it's not that substance, what substance is it? And I'm assuming that they kept the gloves.
I don't know. I'm not sure what they do with that. If they end up saying, all right, you get thrown out of the game and now I can keep your gloves, I'd be actually.
But the most bizarre thing out of this whole thing is that there was a Major League Baseball official watching Max Scherzer wash his hands.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, when did that happen? And what is that title of that MLB official that's doing that?
I have no idea, unless it's somebody with the umpiring crew that helps out maybe with the replays or something. He's got to have another job. There's no way that guy's just there every single day waiting for someone to be forced to wash their hands so he can observe it.
Well, there would have to be one of those people in every stadium.
Yeah, which is, right. So the guy has to be like a video replay official or somebody.
Or a secondary umpire that's,
Right. Yeah, it would be.
I don't know.
Yeah, who the hell knows? But yeah, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility, by the way, that Max Scherzer, who had a really bad end to his season, had a really shaky start to this season, he tries a little bit of something to give himself an edge.
Yeah,
it's not out of the question, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, I'm not sitting here defending Max Scherzer for sure. I can tell you that.
A lot of people are. I mean, a lot of people are basically saying that this is outrageous, and
it's not outrageous that the umpire says his fingers are sticking together two innings later.
Right,
sticky stuff.
And they're not throwing guys out.
Stuff.
They're not throwing guys out all over the league. This is not something that's become an epidemic. And these guys, I mean, you don't see it a lot.
But this crew has done it 3 times.
They have, but that's only 3 times out of how many games that they've done over the last 2 years.
Yeah, and I don't know I don't know if the Dodgers have any. Are they middling in this thing? Are they saying to the umpires, "Hey, we know that there's a potential for a problem prior to the game"? Who knows?
Yeah. So you're saying it could be like a New England Patriots, Baltimore Ravens situation,
sure,
where you get tipped off with the deflated balls and go check it out, and the Indianapolis Colts then end up that whole thing.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see could Dave Roberts or anybody in the Dodger organization, having Max there after they had traded for him, could they have basically said something to the umpires before the game or during the game, or as they're watching the game and watching him controlling the ball the way and the ball's moving the way it's moving, could they have said something to one of the umpires? I haven't seen that anywhere.
No.
I don't know if that's a part of this whole thing. All I know is that the umpires aren't there to throw somebody out. That they don't want to get into this.
Well, especially when it's someone like Max Scherzer. I mean, this is not just some low-level, middling reliever who comes in. This is one of the game's biggest stars, and you got the New York and L.A. playing, and it's a game that a lot of eyeballs are on.
I have to believe that Major League Baseball will come out today at some point in time, if they haven't already, and they will support their umpires. They will support the umpires. They will not support the player here. And I saw where Scott Boras, I guess, came out and said, we can't have Phil Cuzzy being the arbiter of all of this. Essentially, I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah,
that we have to have some other way of determining. I think it was Boras. I think it was who it was. We have to have some other way of determining what kind of substance this is and who is determining whether or not it should be allowed. I mean, what are we doing? I mean, here's a great, you have a great afternoon game. All right, so here it is. So this is what Scott Boras said. The Cuzzy on-field spectrometer is not the answer. MLB needs to employ available scientific methods, not subjective, to create verifiable certainty of its rules. What?
I mean, what the hell are you supposed to do? Like, honestly, you need a Q-tip and a culture and, put it in one of those. I mean, it's impossible to figure it out. It's absolutely impossible. And here's the other problem with this is, so he's going to get a 10-game suspension because if you get thrown out, Max Scherzer, you get thrown out of a game for sticky stuff, you get a 10-game suspension and you are allowed to appeal. Okay, so how do you decide in the appeal process that he's telling the truth or the umpires are telling the truth? Unless you kept the evidence and you ended up testing it, which to me would be the most out-of-control, dumb thing in the world, that they're sitting there testing substances to see what the hell they are.
I would think he's going to get suspended.
He is.
Especially because they spoke to him twice. I mean, this wasn't like he came out and they threw him out. I mean, they told him, after the first time, hey, look, man, your hands are sticky. You better get this stuff, whatever it is, go wash your hands, which he did. Mm-hmm. And then he came out again. And this is where he says, I'd be a complete idiot to do that. But then again, I would say, I don't know. You still had something on your hands, and they felt it, and you're going to pay the price for it.
Yeah,
he's getting suspended, dude.
Right, and he's an older pitcher who has not had the success that he has had recently. He's looking for
$40 million. He's pushed back a start, back problems. The end of last year, the beginning of this year. Yeah. I mean, come on.
Wash your hands.
Oh, God, how?
Wash your hands.
Wasn't that unbelievable? I was just thinking about that when you were saying.
Wash your hands.
We all had to record those things.
Yeah. Wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Wash
your filthy hands.
Yeah.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Wash your hands.
Oh, yeah. We all had to record that promo for whatever the hell it was, a PSA during COVID-19.
Wash your hands.
The pandemic. Yeah, Steve's on to make sure that you wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Wash them nice and good.
He puts an R in there.
Wash the hands. You use the soap, and what is it now? And you run the water, and you scrub in between the fingers. And then what is it with the soap? That was the most ridiculous thing ever. That JJ was in there. Wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Put your hand in the water and wash your hands. Oh, anyway.
I mean, I wanted to talk about, Aaron Judge versus Shohei Ohtani.
Oh, we will.
The game he had. No, I mean, that's what I really want to start with. And then, of course, say whatever you want. I'm not an Islander fan, man, but they got hosed last night.
Yeah.
They got hosed.
Yep.
Especially on the game-winning goal by Jesper Bratt, former Ranger. I mean, not Jesper Bratt, Jesper Fost. Former Ranger. Yeah. Scott Mayfield takes a high stick and nobody sees it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on.
Not good. Screw the Islander button for sure.
Oh, yes.
But it's not like the Carolina Hurricanes or the Maple Leafs where them moving on would really help the league. But it was a missed call. We'll talk about that and more with Jerry Recco coming up in just a couple of minutes. It's Boomer and Gio.